Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Black Critique. Welcome for joining me. Thank you. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Um, as you can see again by the title, if anyone know what has been going on since late Thursday night, Friday through the weekend, as you can see what Ron Desantis and his deliberate racist campaign against black people, again with the doing revisionist history on what slavery is. So he I'm going to show you here where first, he did book bans, anything to make racist, not white people, not everyday white people who just wants to learn about history. He is to defend racists and how they feel and their fragility. Because if I say, hey, I want all murderers to get the death penalty, the moment someone starts, saying, well, hey, murderers are really good people, and hey, you're making the murderer feel uncomfortable, that's a person that's obviously probably a murderer anyway. So as I'm going to show you right here, basically he went from book bans for talking about anything that make white racists feel uncomfortable, like the like colonialism, um what happened to the Native Americans when they came to when Europeans came to the Americas, North, South, and Central Americas, anything to do, which is a very horrible, disparaging part on the side of Europeans when it comes to their history, when they engaged other people in not such favorable, respectful, civilized Christian manner. They want to eradicate that because it makes the racists feel bad. Everyone has a part of their history where they don't, where it's not either they're perpetuated genocide or anything against other people, right? Yeah, but you learn from history, right? You don't eradicate history and to do all this revisionist history just to make you feel better, because then people are not going to learn from it. So basically, he's doing this to, again, I'm going to show you everything leading up to now, because I waited. I mean, I was busy, but I waited for a long time to see what everyone was going to say regarding that. People from all sides. Well, I'm going to see what the majority of black people are saying. I'm seeing what white people are saying. I'm seeing what Republicans are saying. Racists are saying was the same thing. Republicans, racists, same thing. On what fake Pan Africans and pro black people are saying. And it's pretty much what it always been. People that has either or for the truth or has an agenda. So again, I'm gonna show you all, right, how we came to this juncture in history and why is it important to protect truth, right? It's okay to have your own opinion. It's okay to have your own outlook, right? But make sure it's the truth. Make sure we're talking about the absolute truth here, right? So before I start off, right, I want to show you guys this. This is also part of my avatar, right? So anyone that claims to be pro-black or Pan-African, right? This is the mantra. This is what I'm setting the tone for, right? So this is a quote from Marcus Messiah Garvey. The time has come for the black man to forget his hero worship of other races and to create and emulate heroes of his own, right? I'm setting the tone for that. Now, if any books that I've read when I became conscious and woke and to discover who I am, one of those people you read the biography of Marcus Garvey. But one of the first books I read was by by Georgia GM, not Georgia GM James, Carter G. Woodson, was the miseducation of the Negro, right? And that breaks down our mentality of Africans in the diaspora and what colonialism has done to us, right? So if you understand the miseducation of the Negro, you read, Booker T. Washington's things and stuff like that, you would understand where I'm coming from. So that's the tone that I want to set right now, and for you all to remember as we're getting into this right now. Right? So let me start everything off. It's going the other direction. So everything basically this war this war on so-called wokeism. I did a video about that before on Ron Desantis and other racist Republicans attacking the word woke, because woke is a phrase that we coined ourselves, that we use for encouragement, like the example I just gave you, far as like, hey, look, I was asleep, now I'm woke, I'm awareness, I'm enlightened, things like that. So I'm going to give you the history of Ron DeSantis, of who Ron DeSantis is. So I don't know if you guys remember this, what I'm showing you right here, right? This is during the 2016
certainly not going to take anything
presidential election between him and Andrew Gillum. And basically, we all know who Ron DeSantis was from the beginning. So we're going a little back in time right now. So I'll give you the base of who Ron DeSantis is, where he came from, and where he's trying to go, and why he's doing the things that he's doing. So this is between the governorship between Ron DeSantis and Andrew Gillum. So here we go.
From Andrew Gillum, who's endorsed the Dream Defenders, which says Israel is an apartheid state, and which says the police and prisons have no place in justice.
Mr. Gillum, wait for the applause and go.
Let me first say, my grandmother used to say, a hit dog will holler, and it hollered through this room. Mr. DeSantis has spoken. Hey, first of all, he's got neo-Nazis helping him out in the state. He has spoken at racist conferences. He's accepted a contribution and would not return it from someone who referred to the former president of the United States as a Muslim, Nigger. When asked to return that money, he said no. He's using that money to now fund negative ads. Now, I'm not calling Mr. DeSantis a racist. I'm simply saying the racists believe he's a racist.
Exactly. Remember that, guys? And I've been saying this since the same thing about Trump, right? When it's despicable when you have white people that claim that Donald Trump is not racist. It's abhorrent and just saddening and disgusting when you have black people that take on that same sentiment. And if you're familiar with what's going on and going on with my channel, there's a lot of black Republicans that do the same thing. And I've been saying this since day one. You keep saying Donald Trump is not racist. So if that's the case, why are all the racists supporting Donald Trump and the Republican Party? It's one thing if it was split. So, okay, you have the KKK here on the right, and you have the Proud Boys on the left. You got the Blue Boys on the right, and you got Richard Spencer on the left. It's not like that. They are all on the right, right? And everyone knows Republicans don't disavow any racist because that's their bread and butter. You're not gonna make them feel bad by saying that they're racist. They know that, right? Because they're going that's their base. So let's continue.
Mr. DeSantis, if I would ask the audience to please let Mr. DeSantis now respond.
The conference I attended was keynoted by a Medal of Honor recipient named Clint Romeshay. It was not a racial conference. That is an absolute lie. And I'm not going to sit here.
Of course, it's not going to say the conference of hating niggers and Jews. So it makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? There's like that's a lame excuse, but whatever.
And take this nonsense from a guy like Andrew Gillum, who always plays the victim, who's going out and attacking, aligning himself with groups who attack our men and women in law enforcement, attack our military. He still will not disavow the Dream Defenders. None of these things people are saying that I endorse. He endorsed the Dream Defenders, and they endorsed him, and that is wrong.
So that's his response to him of people of racists supporting him. He only answered the conference, which was a very lame conference, but he said, well, you know what? If those people are supporting me, I don't want their endorsement. He did not say that. He did not say I don't want their endorsement. If anyone of the KKK or anyone that's racist or anything like that are supporting me, I don't want their support, because that's not what I'm about. He didn't say that. He pivoted right to, well, he doesn't support the police. He doesn't do that. All these Republican racist tropes and about black people not wanting to support the police instead of black people not or fighting against police brutality. They see that as, well, we're fighting against the police, which tells me that police brutality is just customary and just natural. So you fighting police brutality is obviously fighting the police. That's when every time a Republican says that about a black person who's talking about police brutality, that's what they're saying. Like, no, you should accept this, boy.
Mr. Gillum.
Yes. Yeah, happy to speak on that. So first of all, he continues to attempt to manipulate my record to mean that I'm against law and order. First of all, under my leadership as the mayor of the city of Tallahassee, we hired 50 new law enforcement officers. We connected those law enforcement officers hand in glove with the community through community policing. And my city, we're experiencing a 5-year low in our crime rate. He described in the last debate a city run amok, and the PolitiFact had to correct him on that as well. What Mr. Desantis shows is he simply has no relationship with the truth. He doesn't have it here as a candidate, and he certainly wouldn't have it as the governor, but we won't have to worry about that because we'll retire him on November 6th and keep it moving.
Unfortunately, he was right. Unfortunately, he's right, but unfortunately, that's not what happened. Ron DeSantis won, but we all know he's obviously not, familiar with the truth, saying like most politicians, but more distance themselves from the truth than others, right? So that's one example right there as far as like who Ron DeSantis is as a person around his governorship and what he was trying to do. So he already has a racist base. It's not like he was this moderate Republican that puts his head in the sand when racist shit is going on and don't hold any of his proud Christian law and order Republicans that want to hold up that standard and stick their head in the sand while that's all going on. That's your regular average Republican, right? This is a person who's taking a stance like Donald Trump with the racist evangelical base and conservative base of maintaining white supremacy and white ideology and white fragility, right? So that is one example. So let's go a little bit further more into the future, right, of who Ron DeSantis is, right? So we all know about him doing away with books, doing the book bans. So anything, like I told you before, that had to do with Native American history or about white people doing full-on massacres, like Christopher Columbus, or telling the truth about Christopher Columbus, or Native American Day, things like that. They want to preach against that because it's pretty much putting a light on what white people did in order to get this country. No one gave them the country. They took this country through manipulation, lie, germ warfare, biological warfare, and the musket. Right? That's how they acquired this land, right? So he did all that, right? and then he did the whole against woke, right? You putting this bill against wokeism. Again, I did a video about that, about him doing about wokeism, what had to do with the book bans, right? So right here, I'm gonna have you. He's gonna explain to you what wokeism is. So this is a video that I did a little while back. How long I did? I did it about 2 months ago, right? Did about 2 months ago, right? About words of power. So right here he says, FBA right-wing white supremacists, war against black people, and words of power and encouragement. So I did this a while ago explaining Ron Dessantis. So Republicans hate the truth of the matter. So this is me basically showing you what, when Ron DeSantis put these bills in place with the book bans, attacking Black history, right? He has to do all these things to set a precedence and to, give red meat to his base. So right here, I'm just gonna replay what I said back then, and Ron DeSantis is going to explain to you what wokeism is. What wokeism is, matter, especially when it comes to race and giving other people's humanity, recognizing other people that are not white, especially if it makes their race at a disadvantage. But it's not really making your race look at a disadvantage. You put yourself at a disadvantage if you say that, well, that shouldn't be talking about. Then you just told on yourself, well, I feel that I don't want that being taught or whatever. If it's not a reflection on you, why you don't want it to be taught? We're talking about bad people that did this. If you consider yourself one of those bad people, then I understand.
Target than other recent Democratic presidents for, who knows what reason. Mitch McConnell and his party decided the biggest threat to America is white people finding out America's institutions are racist. Last time we visited the Tennessee State House, it was to speak to State Representative London Lamar about the Republican push to keep a bust of one of the founders of the KKK in the state rotunda. She joined us from in front of that bust. She's back tonight after having debated Tennessee's proposed law banning critical race theory. State Representative London Lamar, welcome.
Right. So let's see what DeSantis has to say.
Black history. What's one of the lessons about? Queer theory. Now, who would say that
people, we know that's a lie. Those are two different things. The LGBTQ nonsense and Black history are two completely different things. Maybe he got mixed up, because I would say, and it's something that I hate, the LGBT community tries to co-opt Black people and Black struggles and put it onto their struggles, which are two completely different struggles, right? And again, they're using Black people as political props, as little Negro minions to ride on our backs for their causes. And that's another thing we have to stop doing. If you're a Black gay person, you're winning. You're winning. You would get more representation than us, because at least if you're a gay Black person and you're being mistreated because you're gay, that benefits other gay white people, right? It's like, hey, oh wow, okay, no, okay, well, we gotta nip this in the butt, because it seems like he's being discriminated because he's gay, and yeah, we throw a little Black in there too, but it's mostly because they're gay. But if you're Black, it's not really their fight. I'm not saying that there isn't a lot of Black white allies. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying they don't get all that gusto and all that energy when it's just a Black issue for the most part. So we know what he's saying right here is idiotic and dishonest.
An important part of Black history is queer theory. That is somebody pushing an agenda on our kids. When you look to see, they have stuff about intersectionality, abolishing prisons. That's a political agenda.
Where's someone saying abolishing prisons? So I'm going to read it between the lines here. So we know that the United States has the largest prison industrial complex in the. So I'm gonna end it right there. So the world, and most of those. That's what Ron DeSantis thinks what wokeism is. Wokeism to him means a gay agenda, grooming, talking about policing and all that other nonsense, which again we all know is simply not true, right? So he some of you may be asking, okay, why is he doing this? I don't understand why he has this onslaught to attack black people and black institutions, and just the history of black people and their struggles here, right? And so if anyone that kind of understands what's going on, Ron DeSantis is running for president, right? He's trying to get the Republican nomination, right? So he is not, he's like number 2 in line, but a lot of people have, like, Republicans have left him because he is not that, he's not showing promise as far as beating Trump, right? So I mean, you guys could research this yourself. Ahead of DeSantis' visit to Utah, a new poll shows him losing ground to Trump among the state's GOP voters. So it's weird. Everyone is jumping. It's not really weird. Everyone is jumping on a bandwagon with Trump, right? And you have a lot of Republicans, even Mitch McConnell, that's the head of the GOP, and a lot of people, we have Chris Christie, you have a lot of Republicans. And Republicans is a civil war right now. They're not messing with Trump due to Trump being a jackass. And that has nothing to do with Trump's racism, has nothing to do with Trump's giving only tax cuts to the rich. His corruption has nothing to do with that. The reason why they leave in Trump, because he's unstable, he's an idiot, he's a moron. He says all the quiet parts out loud, right? There's one thing to know, like, the certain truths, like, hey, Republicans really don't give a rat's ass about the everyday average American. Everything is fear mongering and being mad at the other people that are in the same situation like you, but they do all these things to distract you, right? For, like, just for example. So, but if Donald Trump, for some reason, goes to prison or gets charged and convicted and he can't run for president, then Ron DeSantis will be second in charge, right? Even though, and the reason why he will be second in charge, because he's the closest thing next to Trump. He's not as charismatic and stuff like that, but at least he's that. And they're not going to pick Chris Christie. Chris Christie is he's just unhinged. He says he blows Donald Trump's spot up on everything, on the corruption, on Jared Kushner taking billions and billions of dollars from the Saudis, and all types of corruption that they have. So again, this is on Yahoo News, but there's other articles about Ron DeSantis. There was even one where he had to fire some of his staffers, right? Because his campaign is not really doing that good, right? So I'm only showing you guys this to show you why he's doing these tricks, right? Because he never really had a lead on Trump. He never did. So to go to appease to the racist average Republican base, he was like, what can I do to gain more votes, take more votes away from Trump? So I'm going to read over here. As Utah prepares for a visit from GOP presidential candidate Ron DeSantis on Friday, a new poll of the state's Republican voters show former President Donald Trump has pulled ahead. There's even a video of Donald Trump even knowing that in the state of Florida. In the state of Florida, they also did a poll where who's leading, and Donald Trump is leading DeSantis by like 20 points. right? And Trump mentioned that, so of course he's going to brag about that, right? You guys can also check that out too. That's another nugget I'm giving you. Trump has led in the national polls for some time, even as he has struggled to win the trust of voters in Utah. DeSantis has shown signs of strength in the state, but the latest Desert News Hinckley Institute of Politics poll shows him falling behind. None of the other Republican candidates, however, have so far come close to knocking DeSantis off his second place perch. Like I said, right? Yada yada yada. So that's to give you all a little of that. So that's why DeSantis is doing all the things that he has to do, because he's popular, right? All the Republicans love it, right? But he's not gonna be the number one. He's not gonna be Donald Trump. He's not gonna be the favorite. There's even people saying, when like on the streets, I like how TYT and other people, they go on there and they say how they talk to, like, Trump supporters, and a lot of them will say, how would you like it to be? Oh, if you had Donald Trump as the president and Ron DeSantis as the vice president, that would be awesome. They're not going to pick Ron DeSantis over Donald Trump. Only way they're going to pick DeSantis if Trump is out of it, right? So that's where all this is coming from, and that's why he's doing the things that he is doing. So here's a little other tidbit that I have in case you guys want to know, because again, Republicans want to cut Social Security, right? So they try to deny it, but they can't deny it anymore, because that's what they're trying to do. So he's on board with this also, from another non-related non-related issue. As far as what I'm talking about, Ron DeSantis is eyeing to cut Social Security for people in their 30s and 40s, but totally not for seniors. Like, why are you cutting Social Security? Social Security shouldn't be cut at all, right? So, yeah. So, moving on. So that's why Ron DeSantis is doing these things, because, not to say that he's not racist for real, he is, but he has to push the envelope further than Trump. Like, Trump will say something like, we need to get rid of all Muslims, and Mexicans are rapists and murderers and drug dealers and da da da. That's crazy. That's over the top, but Ron DeSantis like, I gotta go on, do the same thing, but I kind of be like on uncharted waters, right? Ooh, let me attack history and the image of Black people, and how, and the regular racist tropes of they need to be grateful that they're here in the United States is really a benefit to them, right? So he's going with that old racist narrative since Reconstruction. So so that's where Ron DeSantis is and where he's going. So okay, we got that. Hold on one second. I'm trying to get something straight here. So that's that's what that is, right? So what we're gonna do right now, since we know, we're gonna go into what is being the curriculum of Ron DeSantis and the Florida Board of Education is actually pushing, so we could know what we're what we're talking about, right? So we're gonna go here, and he's gonna pretty much Dr. Rashad Ritchie. So you get an unapologetic Black perspective from it. They had a lot of other people that did that. No disrespect to them, but I kind of like his position, and he had a little bit more information. So he's going to pretty much tell us what the school, what the Florida Board of Education is teaching, want to teach middle school to high school, the racist curriculum that DeSantis and the Florida GOP is pushing.
Florida done it. They are now mandating that schools teach slavery as beneficial. Let's go to the first video.
Do not, for the love of God, tell kids that slavery was beneficial, because I can guarantee you it most certainly was not. Thank you.
Education and civil rights advocates are slamming new Black history teaching standards in Florida. Under the new rules, middle school teachers must now include lessons, quote, how slaves developed skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit.
It's inaccurate, it's ahistorical. Critics are calling this a big step backwards and saying it's a disservice to Florida students because they're not going to learn the full truth and the full accurate truth of American history.
This is insanity on top of insanity. Parents, advocates of all different backgrounds proclaimed this is wrong. Do not do it. None of them listen. Why? Because they are under the direction of a madman named Governor Ron Desatan. And they themselves are feckless leaders in positions of authority. Here it is.
And I am very concerned by these standards, especially some of the notion that, enslaved people benefited from being enslaved is an accurate and a scary standard for us to establish in our educational curriculum.
The proposed changes specifically for elementary and middle school students leave out the last 150 years of Black history. Where Black history is taught provides a simplified and sterilized version of history.
The new standards suggest that violence by Black residents in defense of their lives and homes as they were surrounded by armed mobs and flames, and as they were forced to flee their homes or be shot or burned, are to be included as a seemingly equal part of the standard. This is egregious if you...
You're going to see in the part where it also talks about Black people being the perpetrators of their own massacres. So when Black people and Black folk is doing good in the country, doing good in the country, they have their own towns, they have everything. And a white person comes over there and starts trouble with Black people. They're saying that Black people are also responsible for that. Yes.
Understand what happened to the Black residents in Ocoee in 1920.
First of all, I want to say any kind of standards that indicate that slavery benefited Black people is such an insult. My husband is Black. My daughter is Black. And the thought that slavery benefited them, how could that be taught? The fact that the pushback to Reconstruction benefited them. The fact that Jim Crow benefited them.
And what they're saying is true. So for all naysayers, well, they're just talking about skills that they utilize, but you can't separate sand from the beach. You know what I'm saying? Like all these things are saying, well, the trade-offs for you learning again, and it makes it seem like it's broad. Learning a skill was the skills that we had already, right? Oh, it's pretty much a more of a benefit. It doesn't matter about you being raped. It doesn't matter about you about Reconstruction. It doesn't matter about Jim Crow. It doesn't about being dehumanized. It doesn't mean it's a fair trade-off when you're being mutilated. It's a fair trade-off because you learn a skill that you knew already, or really that you need to function within white supremacy. What that makes no sense. Like saying, hey, you were raped, but hey, look. It's like you're trying to justify something. Well, hey, you were raped, but hey, look, after the rape, you came to certain realizations due to your rape. So the rape wasn't that bad. This is an asinine, ridiculous, disrespectful, just disgusting, loathsome argument.
How can we teach that to students? How can someone look at a child with a straight face and say that slavery benefited Black people?
All right, members, we have the motion on the table to approve the two rules. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Show the amendment approved. Members, we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll be back.
This is adverse to the sentiment of the majority of Americans. They do not agree with this. The majority of white America does not agree with this curriculum adoption. Obviously, Black Americans do not agree. But let's count the hypocrisy in all of this. As I said from day one, this is the plan of Governor Desatan to eliminate diversity, to eliminate inclusion. He is literally making conversations at the kitchen table of racist law. This is what racist people say inside of their homes. I don't know what Black people are upset about. I mean, you know, there's a lot of benefits they receive from slavery. Here's another hypocrisy. They're not teaching how slavery or the criminal murderous enterprise known as slavery, they're not teaching how it benefited white slave masters, nor their descendants. They're only teaching it in the context of how it benefited Black people.
And that's a very, very good point that he's making. That I was going to make. That's why I was going to let it rock, because he was making all my points. Like, they want to make it seem that it was like an even trade-off. Like, hey, at least it was even trade-off. You learned the skill, right? And I acquired your labor to benefit me. So it was like one hand washes the other type of deal, when it wasn't. When it wasn't, make it seem like it was a work program that they went or some type of indentured servitude, which is they're basically trying to teach. They're not telling you about the brutality of what slavery was. They're just focusing on, hey, you learned the skill. And again, it was a skill that we already knew already, right? And I'm going to prove to that to you shortly, that we knew already. But it's not an even trade-off. It's not, I'm a slave. I'm a property. You could mutilate me, rape me, beat me, my children, all of that. How was that a trade-off to learn how to shoe a horse, or be a blacksmith, or pick cotton, or cut cane, or raise little white children? How is that the trade? We don't know how to raise children. We don't know how to do agriculture, plant and grow food. We don't know. We didn't know how to do that. The first people on the planet, on the earth, don't know how to do those things. Come on.
Enslaved Africans who are ripped from their homelands, denied their opportunity of individualism, made to benefit one entity alone: wealthy white men. Let's go to it. Middle school students in Florida will soon be taught that slavery.
For those of you that are slow, right? Again, this is an article he's reading from the Daily Beast, right? So I showed you he had actual right there footage of the Board of Education and white people and Black people speaking out against it and everything, right? And this is from the Daily Beast that he's reading. This is not from his own own perspective. He's not reading off the cuff. Just in case you guys didn't know, right here, there's Allison Quinn, the Daily Beast.
Gave Black people and I quote, personal benefit because they developed skills. After the Florida Board of Education approved new standards for African American history on Wednesday, high school students will be taught an equally distorted message that a deadly white mob attack against Black residents of Ocoee, Florida in 1920 included acts of violence perpetrated against and by African Americans. Dozens of Black residents were killed in the massacre, which was perpetrated to stop them from voting. According to members of the board, that distorted portrayal of the racist massacre is factually accurate. Marilyn Marger, a member of the board appointed by none other than Governor Ron Desantis, said at the board's meeting in Orlando on Wednesday that everything is there in the new history standards and the darkest parts of our history are addressed. The Tallahassee Democrat reported a majority of the speakers who provided public testimony on the planned curriculum are opposed to it, warning that crucial context is omitted, atrocities are glossed over. And in some cases, students were taught to actually blame the victim being Black people.
So it's layered. It's taught, again, I have to keep re-emphasizing this. We're being taught that the trade-off of slavery was good because we gained a useless skill or a skill we already had, right? Then on top of that, for further insult and injury and disrespect, it was saying that we are responsible for the massacre that white people has bestowed on Black people living peacefully, following the rules of the land and the laws of the land. But we're responsible for that. We're also perpetrators of our own downfall.
I am very concerned by these standards, especially some of the notion that enslaved people benefited from being enslaved. Can I say this? What the hell is Biden saying about it?
Exactly.
Hell, we have a vice president that is a person of color.
A person of color. Now, that's accurate because I would not call Kamala Harris Black because she's not Black, right? The reason why I say she's not Black is because of her actions and the things she has done as a mulatto, multiracial person, right? She did speak up against it, right? So this is kind of old because like the next day or the day or a day or two after she did address it or whatever, but which is fine. Kudos to her, but she is a person of color, right? But I don't really expect her to do that. So I guess she did it. She doesn't do anything else. And she was painted in a corner, and she did, and she spoke up on it. But like Biden and her, they ain't gonna do nothing about it. It's always gonna be lip service. That's why people are fed up with the Democratic Party. You said you stand for this, you stand for that, you're gonna fight for this, you're gonna fight for that. And the most you do is lip service and symbolism, and you let these racist Republicans roll right over us.
Is there a massive messaging campaign against this type of insanity in our nation? No, it is not. Democrats are very good at making you feel like, well, we feel with you and this is outrageous. There's more. When I see the standards, I am very concerned, says State Representative Thompson. Very concerned. If I were still a professor, I would do what I did very infrequently. I'd have to give this a grade I for incomplete. It recognizes that we have made an effort, we've taken a step. However, this history needs to be comprehensive, it needs to be authentic, and it needs additional work. When you look at the history currently, it suggests that the Ocoee massacre was sparked by violence from African Americans. That's blaming the victim, the Democrat warned. The Florida governor signed the Stop Woke Act last year to just do that, restricting how issues of race are taught in public schools and workplaces.
I mentioned that, the Stop Woke Act. All this is leading up to that.
Places and keeping with the administration's crusade against wokeness. Education Commissioner Manny Diaz defended the new standards against criticism, saying, quote, "This is an in-depth deep dive into African American history, which is clearly American history, as Governor DeSantis has said, and what Florida has done to expand it." Paul Burns, the Florida Department of Education's chancellor of K-12 public education, also insisted the new standards provide an exhaustive representation of African American history. Our standards are factual, objective standards that really teach the good, the bad, and the ugly. He was quoted as saying Wednesday,
the good, then the bad and the ugly. Again, they're saying that slavery was beneficial to us in a certain regard. All this does, as it always white people have been doing since Reconstruction, is trying to find scapegoats and reasons for for them not to be accountable for what they did, to soften the blow of slavery which they had a part in. There's no good about you killing people and exploiting people, raping people and mutilating people because you are too lazy to do any work yourself. But you're evil enough to force men, women, children to do the work for you by hook or by crook, by rape or by mutilation. That's what this is about.
By the Florida Phoenix, he denied the new standards portray slavery as beneficial. Although education officials say teachers are meant to expand upon the new curriculum in the classroom, critics say teachers are unlikely to do that for fear of being singled out, possibly punished for being too woke. The Florida Education Association, the state's largest teachers union, called the new standards, quote, a big step backward for our state that has required teaching African-American history since 1994. In a statement after Wednesday's vote, Derek Johnson, president and CEO of the NAACP, also condemned the new curriculum, saying in a statement, our children deserve nothing less than truth, justice, and the equity our ancestors shed blood, sweat, and tears for. Today's action by the Florida state government are an attempt to bring our country back to a 19th century America where Black life was not valued, nor our rights protected. It is imperative that we understand that the horrors of slavery and Jim Crow were a violation of human rights and represent the darkest period in American history. We refuse to go back, the head of the NAACP said. Next time somebody says, what did they mean by make America great again? Please understand they are providing the answer, front and center.
That's true.
Right now.
Facts.
This Sister Thoughts.
Yeah, it's historical erasure. And
yeah, so that is what the bill entails. Pretty much he gave you a rundown of the of what was going on when it was voted in, right? Despite all the backlash, oh wow. I didn't show that. You know what? I'm not there's an update to that. Basically, he gives you a breakdown. I'm not gonna waste time and do that right now. He gave you a breakdown of all the people that was on the community board of the Florida community board, and it was all a bunch of people who there was only one teacher there, right? It was all a bunch of Karens, right? None of them. One was a radiologist. One was a doctor. Was a radiologist. The other one was some regular white chick that works at Walmart. None of them were qualified, right, as far as like their occupation and what they did to make this call, right? So despite backlash from the entire Florida community of saying this is horrific, they pushed with it. They pushed it, right? So that's what this is. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to dispel this notion, obviously, with what? With history, right? And you're gonna have all the fake pro-Black people and the fake Pan-Africanists, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna pretty much parrot and try to split hairs and excuse something as despicable as this. That should show you already that these people aren't pro-Black people. These people have an agenda. These people want to wear the facade of being pro-Black or Pan-African, but when you put their feet to the fire, they turn over on the sight of a white face and the Republican Party and racists, and just parrot and take on their talking points. So I'm gonna first. So we're gonna get into what they're saying, and I'm gonna pretty much show you how what Ron DeSantis and all the other races are doing are pretty much lies, right? So this is the sentiment to set the tone of what's been happening. So we have our favorite, one of our oldest Republicans, right, Jesse Lee Peterson, and what Jesse Lee Peterson is saying is what Black conservatives and white racist Republicans are saying. It's pretty much this.
No, I've often said that thank God for slavery because, had not, then the blacks who are here would have been stuck in Africa. And you see how bad Africa, everybody and mama trying to get out of Africa and come to America. Mm-hmm. And so God has a way of looking out for folks, and he made it possible by way of slavery to get black folks into this country. But 100% American. Proud of it. I thank God that he saw fit for me to get here. Never mind that, we were sold. I mean, I guess my ancestors way back, way young to when, were sold by Arabs and blacks to white folks.
That's true. Arab, black, no, I'm not going to get into that. I already got into that. Him saying we were sold by blacks. So, and Arabs, that's partially true, but we're talking about the transatlantic slave trade right now.
And got us here. The white man came and brought us to the greatest country in the world. The ride over was pretty tough, but it's like riding on a crowded airplane, and when you're not in first class, it's a tough ride. But you're happy when you get to your destination. And so the ride was tough over here. The pain for freedom was tough, because in life, if you want to gain something, you got to lose something. No pain, no gain. So it was a tough.
I had enough. I'm getting sick. I'm getting sick to my stomach. I'm just setting the tone for what's about to come because they pretty much have that same sentiment and white hero worship of, well, it was bad, but ooh, the white man showed enough come save me now because I want to be with them nasty, dirty Africans that don't know how to read or write or nothing. At least I'm here with the white man, all comfy and nice. This is the path where we're going down right now. So I'm just setting the tone so you can have brace yourself for what you're about to hear. And for those of you who are that knows history, politics, and things like that, this is nothing new. This is absolutely nothing new. This is something that's been being said all the time. Like I said, since Reconstruction, right? Since Reconstruction, this has been a racist talking point, right? So let's move forward. And like I said, I'm going to basically show you right now. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm trying to see what I'm going to do first. So I'm going to show you whose shoulders that I stand on as far as information, right? This is Dr. John Henry Clark, right? Grand Master Teacher, one of the Grand Master Teachers, right? You got your Arthur Schoenbergs, your Dr. Henry Clark, your Dr. Ben, your Dr. Asa Hilliard, your Dr. Ishmael Barashango, Sheikh Anta Diop, and it's a pantheon of great Black intellectuals that are masters at Black history. So right here, he's in this speech. Is going to just listen to what he has to say. It's going to pertain to this topic.
But for an entire people, what I like to quote is an African proverb that says that a man that if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there.
I like that. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. That's a beautiful African proverb.
I will never know what African said it, but I know an African said it. Now, the discussion for tonight is Africa, time of trouble, the coming of the Europeans. Very few people talk about this subject from an African point of view, because the coming of the Europeans, not only to Africa, but the coming of the Europeans to the world was disaster. And yet, when you read the history books, the assumption is that the coming of the Europeans was the bringing of the light. And yet, everywhere he went in the world, he put out the light. He brought no civilization to anybody, anywhere, any place in the world. Now, I am reversing history. And if I couldn't prove it, I wouldn't be saying it. First place, you have to deal with something in one of the great myths in human history, and that is the myth of the invader as civilizer and conqueror. No people ever conquered, invaded any people for the sake of civilizing them. This is true. This is even true when blacks are invading blacks. This is true across the board. This is true every time in history. Now, I can point to what seemed to be an exception, and if you bend history a little bit, you can make it an exception. But you'll be making it an exception, but if you look well, there's not an exception at all. When the Cushites invaded Egypt and created the mighty 25th dynasty, they improved Egypt. They put Egypt's house in order, and they gave Egypt her last walk in the sun. Here was a case where the invader did some good. Does that prove me wrong? No. I still maintain that the invader always does more harm than good. Then what am I talking about in this case? The invasion was not really an invasion in the true sense. The Cushites from the south were relatives of the Egyptians. They were African relatives invading the house of the relative and telling the relative, put your house in order before the foreigners come back here and take over both of us.
Amen. Peace and blessings to him. May he, as always, rest in power, Dr. John Henry Clark. All right. So, anyone that is a student of history would know that an invading force never, ever intend to do or have any good do any good for the people that is invading. It's always for the benefit of the invader. So this talk of Africans benefited from slavery is total nonsense. And DeSantis and the Republicans, as racist as they are, and you got your Marjorie Taylor Greens and your and all these talking heads, your Steve Bannons that conservatives love, and Crowder and all these other people, right, say these racist tropes. And I always say this: it's sad to say us as Black people, we're not saying we're not fighters, but it's sad to say that they know they could get away with this before they say this to a Jewish person or to a Native American person. Now, if you take the same sentiment, and I said this before about colonization and slavery, no person, right, as racist as they are, would say, hey, look, the Nazis, the Holocaust was pretty much the Nazis' fault. Or there were collaborators also. The Nazis were also responsible for their own Holocaust. It'll be the end. It'll be ridiculous to say something like that. It'll be just as ridiculous to say something like that. Well, you know what? The Native Americans, Manifest Destiny, which again, something that Ron Dessantis wanted to cancel, Manifest Destiny, right? Or in Spanish, Manifest Destino, is basically what was, if you know what Manifest Destiny is to westward expansion of Europeans, starting from the 13 colonies as far as they could go, which they found out, which was California. Westward expansion. That's like saying, well, Native Americans, is your fault why that happened. Native Americans, is your fault why the white people are here. Like the Native Americans didn't fight. Or to say, well, you know what? Hey, look, Native Americans, hey, you learn skills. You learn skills. You own like less than 20% of your original homeland, but hey, at least you learn some skills that you utilize in your everyday life. Like that's totally insulting. Totally insulting. But unfortunately, with us, they know it will be backlash, but not as hard as if you were to do it with those groups that I mentioned. So let's go to the Pan-Africanism perspective of what's going on. So now that I laid a foundation down for everybody, if you were here from the beginning, we already just established that slavery and colonization doesn't benefit anybody. Doesn't benefit the person that's getting colonized, only the colonizer, right? No one does it for the sake. Well, you know what? Those people over there, they need our help. You know what? They're back. They don't know how to smelt iron or whatever that they think that they don't know how to do. Let me go help them out by enslaving them, mutilating them, and forcing them to work. That makes no sense, right? At least the missionaries do the same thing. The missionaries be like, oh, wow, there's some people over there that, in Africa or somewhere else, there's a famine. The water season, the rainy season was very bad. So the crops failed. So there's a little bit of hunger. There's hunger there or whatever, right? The missionary at least goes over there with rice and grain and feeds them, then insults them later and saying, well, hey, why don't you become a Christian and stuff like that? Because obviously your custom and your culture is no good, but it wasn't really me giving you this rice and grain. It was really white Jesus, and you need a white person, a white God, and a white ideology for you to sustain yourself. I mean, that's messed up too, but that's a little bit more honest than what they're doing, right? So we established all that, and that Ron DeSantis is a racist, and that this curriculum, they also want to put that Black massacres that was happening during those times was also Black people's fault. So let's hear what the Pan MAGA, fake Pan African Brandon has to say.
Oppressive situation. That's when a lot of people learn skills that save their life, that shape the rest of their life, their existence. I don't know if y'all heard the part when I talked about my great grandfather being a sharecropper. Did y'all hear that part?
No, bro, you was in the twilight zone.
Okay, that's my fault. Well, I was talking about my grandfather. I was talking about my great grandfather being a sharecropper, right? Because the brother in the comments was talking about blacksmith being a trade that a lot of slaves learned during slavery and then used post slavery to benefit them in their families. My grandfather learned how to plant crops and care for crops and pick crops. My great grandfather.
Again, he's talking about how he's again talking about how under the system of slavery and white supremacy, how to thrive in white supremacy. So as a racist apologist, as him being a vanguard of white fragility and white pride, right? He's going to pivot the conversation to, well, hey, look, we thrived under a barbaric system that we shouldn't have been in the first place, right? And it's okay because we learned skills under duress and terrorism. How is this making sense, y'all? Like, what, you don't belong in that position in the first place. That's the crux of the conversation. You were here when you weren't supposed to be here. But he's saying, well, he's ignoring the fact or acknowledging the fact, well, yeah, you're here, but at least you learned the skill. He's doing the same thing that those Florida board members were doing. They're straddling the fence. They think they're straddling the fence, but they're clearly on one side of the fence by the policies and the things that they're saying and ignoring, taking things out of context.
Under slavery. That's where he learned that, right? Well, or from his parents who were under slavery. He then used that skill post-slavery, right? He used that skill to feed his family after slavery ended. That benefited him. That benefited his family. He did a lot better than the girl who was baking fucking cookies in the big house because the white woman.
So F the woman that's baking cookies in the big house. She learned the skill also. So F her. It's a skill according to the bill that's being proposed by Ron Desatan and the rest of the racist Florida Board of Ed. That's the skill. Hey, you could use that skill. Some skill are better than others, but yet it's a skill and it's a better job. So she could bake. You know what? I was in Africa. I had my own house. I had my own garden. The person could have been a teacher, a government official, a princess, a potential queen. Who cares? I could bake cookies for the white man. And after I'm free, right? After forced emancipation proclamation, well, at least I can continue baking cookies for more white people to feed myself. Again, I start off with the Jesse Lee Peterson, right? And he's pretty much picking up the torch that Jesse Lee Peterson pretty much started with. Hey, at least we're not in Africa. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it was rough, but at least I can bake cookies, right? I can help Betty Crocker. Right? And come on now. If this isn't Pan-Africanism at its height, he's better off not saying nothing. That's like how he did. I was waiting for him, Dinus, and other conservatives when Ron Desantis was attacking Black history and wanted to do book bans and eradicate Black history. They did not say shit. You can hear a church mouse piss on cotton. They did not say anything. They did not address it because it's undefensible. He thinks this is defensible. And it just it's pretty much him showing who he is as a person. He's not a Pan-African at all whatsoever. He's a white apologist posing as a Pan-African. He's a white apologist posing as someone who cares about black people and the image of black people and the progress of black people. This person is faker than a $7 bill.
Woman could do that job. This dude was had a skill that he could someone would pay him to do, right? And that's what Booker T. Washington talked about, learning the skills that people would pay you for.
Booker T. Washington never said it's okay to be a slave, right? As long as white people teach you a slave or teach you a skill and utilize that skill. So it's a pretty much even trade, go about your life and be happy that the white man taught you a useless skill or a skill that you already had.
Learning how to shoe horses, learning how to fix wheels and stuff like that on those buggies and all that. That carpentry, those skills benefited black people after slavery and even during.
He's not even condemning slavery. He's not even condemning slavery. We shouldn't even been in that position at all. You're making excuses for slavery. You're softening the blow of slavery.
Because some of them were able to use those skills to actually buy their way out of slavery. I don't like the way black people prove themselves to be ignorant on top of stupid by acting like we haven't learned all this stuff throughout the years of growing up. We learned this shit in elementary school.
So, I'm not even going to respond to that because obviously the only stupid person here is obviously him. Right, is obviously him, and he, you know what? I'm gonna let him keep hanging himself with his coon ass rope.
I think Harriet Tubman had a husband who bought her ass up out of slavery, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of people bought themselves out of slavery by using the skills they learned while they were in slavery. Because I promise you,
again, that was not common practice. That was exceptions to the rule. This CeeLo Green looking fool have you thinking that all slave masters allowed. Let me back up for a little bit. He's thinking that all slave masters allowed or gave their black slaves some type of compensation so they could buy their freedom. He's assuming that all slave masters gave, even though under slavery, right, treated their slaves like indentured servants. Okay, Toby, if you bale this hay and pick X amount of pounds of cotton for the next 6 years, Isaac gives you your freedom. Really, sir? You do that for me, Con, sir? Oh, you so good, Mr. Tom. You so good. I don't care what them other niggas say over there. You's a good man. This is what this nigga got you thinking. Why would they do that? If that happened, that's the exception to the rule. That wasn't something that was widespread and practiced. Number one, they paid for their slave. It's like you pay for your TV. Once you paid for your TV, it's your TV. If you want to, it's like you giving more money to pay for your TV to then not have your TV. You could do that if you want, but you don't have to. I paid for it. You're mine now. And this is the thing that I can't really get that mad because, you know what I'm saying, he's a coon. He's a white apologist, right? But these are white supremacist, Reconstruction, Confederate talking points.
The guy, nobody came from Africa sleeping in a hut and knew how to build a house out of wood. I promise you that.
Yeah. Again, people, I'm going to show you later. In West Africa, we had forests and stuff like that, but depending on where you are, everyone knows that. If you know about your environment, we didn't use that. We use other building materials, right? That we use as artisans and craftsmen. And I'll show you that later. Again, he's telling you that it's better for you to know how to build things out of wood for white people in the West, because in the West, that's what they use. They use a lot of wood. That's one of the reasons why Europeans were looking to leave Europe, because they use a lot of wood. They were pretty much doing deforestation in their own area in Europe, because they built everything out of wood till they ran out. That's why when they came over there to the New World, what were they doing? They still do it to this day, cutting down numerous trees, while Africans and other people build out of mud, brick, clay, stone, and stuff like that. And we still had a lot of trees. They didn't know how to do that. Again, he's trying to say you should be happy and comfortable within a European society, and be happy that you have a skill that could help white people, or you being in a European society.
Oh, you're really going there, aren't you?
No. What I'm saying, I'm not going anywhere. You can appeal to emotion all you want to. What I'm telling you is not all people in Africa knew how to build houses, do all that shit, even though that's what people want to romanticize this.
So he's saying black people did. He's saying Africans didn't have houses now. Africans didn't know how to build houses now. He is officially on the, well, he was the conductor. Now he's the engineer. He's officially on the white supremacist train right now. He is leading the charge right now. Black people didn't know how to build homes. We didn't have houses. Gotcha.
The situation want to believe that's like saying all Negroes right now know how to do plumbing. No, there are things that people learned during slavery. There's even different climates in America where you couldn't do what you're doing in America in Africa. So you had to learn how to do those things, and that could benefit you later on. Okay, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. You know, I don't know if a lot of you brothers have heard about the story of the incarcerated dudes who just got a bachelor's degree from Yale while they were in jail. That's all good. Like, there's positive circumstances that happen from where they're from, but what I don't want to happen is to act like the slavery thing was an overall net positive.
But I don't think that's what they're. But that's not what they're saying. That's not. That's what we're projecting. We're projecting that onto them, but I have to go based on what they're saying.
And we heard what they were saying, right? And we know what led up to this. Him being a cowardly bitch ass Negro, he didn't report what the end game is. We know Ron DeSantis's end game, right? We know what his end game is. He came into the political arena as a racist, and he's doing historical monumental changes to education, attacking black people, from book bans to the Stop Woke Act, right? Of attacking black history. Now he's doing this. And he wants to play coy and being like, well, they're not saying it. They want to do it doing black history. He's being totally dishonest. And people are checking him on that, right? But he's not going to let them go in because he likes controlled opposition. He's a little spoiled troll that is only that he only gives you the image and the facade of, yeah, I'm open to opinion, I'm open to other critique, you know, just keep it just keep it truthful and stuff like that, you know. But he's being dishonest. He's being totally dishonest in how, and this is a whole totally dishonest conversation. It's like I'm speaking to Richard on Kanye West and Nick Fuentes, which he both loves, and makes excuses for. He loves Kanye West. He loves Nick Fuentes. He loves them. Like I I never thought I met an actual shameless coon in my life to this level.
Even CNN, which is the most Democrat shill network, they like.
CNN is now owned by Matt Murdock, which is the same person that owns MSNBC, and I think he owns MSNBC right now. So Matt Murdock is politically leaning right. So yeah,
they held back from saying they're trying to say slavery was positive.
No, Brandon, I think MSNBC got CNN, bro.
But what I'm saying is, if they had said that, if CNN then would have been, they said slavery was a positive.
Yeah.
All they're saying is that slaves learned skills during some skills during slavery that benefited.
He's saying tomato. Only y'all are that stupid. Maybe your audience is. This brother that's speaking, he's not that stupid. Y'all that stupid. No one believes that.
I don't know if you guys heard the thing I played. I don't know if you guys heard the thing that I played, but I'm gonna play it again.
I'm done, because what he's doing is splitting hairs. So that's your pan-coonism, Republican MAGA outlook on what this whole thing is. They hide. They just do celebrity news, celebrity gossip when a lot of significant things is going on. If they can't spin it, they don't report it, right? So that's why he sounds misinformed. You see what I did? I went through the whole history of Ron Desantis and what he's doing so we could have a clear idea of why he was doing it and why we're here right now. I try to get everything. I did not skip a beat. If I skip a beat or there's something that I miss, I will love you all to tell me, right? He's not mentioning any of that. He's taking this as face value, like this is the only thing that Ron DeSantis has done as an attack to Black people, when all he's been doing for the past couple of months was consistently attacking education and the image of Black people politically, socially, and historically. That's what he's been doing. That's what he's been doing. And that's why he's totally like, bro, I would love to challenge Brandon at a political debate, but he's not, because we all know that he's scared of me. He's scared of me. He's terrified of me. I'm the only person who he kicks off. I'm the only person who he kicks off when I have something to say. And because you know why? Because when other people hear what I have to say, right? People in the chat agree with what I have to say. They totally agree with what I have to say. So again, he likes controlled opposition, and I'm going to expose him for the fake Pan-African that he claims to be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I said that. Yeah, this dude makes me vomit. He runs interference every single time. These MAGA open them. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like the dude is mad fake. Only people who agree with them, who people that have his backwards, hateful mentality of themselves and of other Black people. Those are only people that I find that agree with like that. So you have people like him hate Black people, and they always have repeat the same, like, bro, I don't know. These cats need therapy. They need therapy. They need a hug or something. But this is how he's a grifter. He's not a grifter in the sense of, well, I'm going to do this for money directly. He's a grifter in the sense that he pretends to be a Pan-Africanist and pro-Black while having white racist ideologies and ideas, right? So he could gain views, which gives him revenue, right? Which gives him revenue. So he's a grifter in an indirect sense, right? In that way, because if he was really true to who he was, he would wear who he is and all these talking points that he have. He would still keep the Pan-Africanism strikes back, still keeps that, but have some sort of indication of who you are and where you stand. But he's not going to do that because people will be like, whoa, that's not pro-black. That's not Pan-Africanism. I'm not subscribing to this fool's channel. Hell no. And he knows that. And that's what makes him dishonest. If he was a guy saying all the things that he said, and it was another random name or whatever like that, like Brandon's Outlook on this or Brandon's World or something like that, I'm like, wow, this dude is a coon, but okay, whatever. I really wouldn't be upset or concerned. Okay, that's just his thing. But when you go under the banner of Pan-Africanism and pro-black and loving black people and want the best for your people, and then you go Chicken George mode, me as a person that's pro-black and a Pan-African, I'm going to take issues with that. I'm going to take umbrance to that. Right? And people don't call him, some people do call him out on that, but then again, he gets combative, he gets upset, he kicks you off. So it's better you just leave him alone and don't even go up on his page because you're not controlled opposition. Right? And you're going to blow his spot up. So that's what Jesse Lee Peterson's son had to say. Pretty much. So what I'm going to do right now. So again, it was crazy. He said that black people didn't know how to build houses because we didn't know how to build houses out of wood. So he's telling you a half truth. Black people didn't know how to build houses out of wood. Okay. But we still knew how to build houses with other building materials that was that we had in nature. That doesn't mean you know how to build houses. No, he didn't know nuance. He didn't know context. Broad brush, black people. So we're living in caves and under trees or in trees at his rate. If this Negro said we lived in trees, I won't be surprised at this rate because all the things that he's saying are racist talking points, right? So I'm going to show you right now how what he's saying is total nonsense, right? So right here, let's do a little bit of African history, pre-colonial African history. So right here, it's the website right here, right? 10 African civilizations more amazing than ancient Egypt. I don't know about that, but okay. See, that's so we're doing West Africa because it's about West Africa, about the slaves that learned skills. So we all know that it was West Africans and sub-Saharan Africans that were in the transatlantic slave trade. But again, no context or whatever. So you have the Aksum Empire, right? So this is again look like brick and stone, right? While a Christian revolution was occurring in Europe, right, a powerful kingdom emerged on the African continent in present-day Ethiopia. The Aksum Empire became one of the largest markets of northeastern Africa with its epic trading and naval strength as traders. So right here, right? Talking about the Crusades. So during the Crusades, right? Pre-colonial. The Benin Empire. So we talk about civilizations. Everyone was just out in the open, like just with no housing, no structure. They had no skills. A unique settlement in what is now present-day Nigeria. The Kingdom of Benin began when the Edo people cut down trees in West Africa rainforest by the 1400s. This hold on a second. What am I doing here? Okay. I'm sorry about that. I had a little distraction. They cut down trees. The settlement had developed into a mighty kingdom. So here, maybe stand correct. They cut down trees and use trees to build things. So even there, I may be wrong. I have no problem being wrong, right? Because I need to use trees and bamboo and things like that. But right here is correcting me, right? So we're talking about kingdoms, rulers, right? Right, the rulers of Benin called the Oba had a unusual taste for brass in their stunning places. The Benin people, so we know, saw the Benin sculptures and busts and stuff like that. So these were artisans, these were artists, masons, skills that we already had. Like I was saying, how again? You think we were just sitting in Africa without a house, with no skills? The first humans on Earth had no skills, cultivated no skills on their own. They're just lucky, I guess, until the white man came and civilized us and gave us skills when we had slavery, right? 8, Kingdom of Ghana. So this is the stone, right? This is the stone. Ancient Ghana, which sat on an immense gold mine, was so rich that even its dogs wore collars made of precious metals. With strategic planning, powerful leaders, and abundance of natural resources, Ghana soon became another big African influence. Blah, 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 right? Y'all can read that. I'm trying to go through it real quick. But according to Brandon, we didn't know how to build houses or anything, especially houses out of wood. We didn't know how to build none of that stuff, right? Like Jesse Lee Peterson said, thank God for the white man, thank God for slavery. The Mali Empire, more structures. It was made out of like mud and stone and the little pillars thing right there that's made out of wood right there. The Mali Empire was a major African civilization that thrived between the 13th and 16th centuries, founded by a man named Sodinta Kenta Kiata, aka the Lion King. The emperor was located near the present-day West Africa. While the Lion King was an impressive ruler, the empire flourished most under Mansa Musa. We all know about Mansa Musa, yada, yada, yada. Knox civilization. The first traces of the mysterious civilization was discovered in 1928 by a group of Nigerian tin miners as archaeologists undiscovered bits of pottery, rock, paint, and tools. They were shocked to realize how advanced the previous unknown civilization was. You'll be shocked if you think these people are primitive and unintelligent, like a bunch of white Victorian crackers, right? During their existence from 900 BC until 200 AD, the Nok culture created a complex judicial system centuries before the modern ones were invented. Using several different classes of courts, they dealt with matters such as theft, murder, adultery, and family disputes, right? So we're talking about there's a civilization again, government officials who looked like they had some sort of democratic system that ruled their society. But no, we need to be enslaved by the white man to learn some skills. Kingdom of Kush. So that's more of North Africa. Of North Africa, right? So it's not West Africa, but again, to show you these structures, which is way older than that. There's more pyramids in Kush than there is in Egypt, right? Songhai Empire, right? Songhai Empire spanning thousands of miles across Western Africa, lasting nearly 800 years. The kingdom was considered one of the greatest empires in the world from the 15th to the 16th century. As with other African civilizations, Songhai derived mostly its wealth from trading, which is extremely safe, safe due to the 200,000 person army placed along its provinces, right? So we had an army. Man, fake Pan-African. Niggas are fake Pan-African. Fake. Land of Punt, right? That's more ancient. It's not West African, but you can read here about it, right? The Zulu Empire. The rise of the Zulu Empire wouldn't have happened without, but according to Brandon and Coons, he's like, why are these niggas over here is fighting them? This white man's about to give you a skill that you could utilize to feed your family. Yo, you can't make this shit up. Why to him, he would see a picture like this and be like, the Shaka Zulu and the Zulu Nation are a bunch of ungrateful niggas. The white man came over there. You shouldn't be fighting other tribes to utilize, right? To fight the white man's here to give you civilization. Y'all niggas can't even live in a house. The white man's gonna teach you how to build a house. Mickey Mouse built a house. How many bricks did he lose? Like, come on, y'all. And we got Carthage, whatever, which is even older civilization, right? So right there, I just showed one example showing and prove how Ron DeSantis and all these other coons are full of shit. Right? They don't know their own history. Ron DeSantis or whatever, he gonna do what he gonna do. You know what I'm saying? I get that. You know what I'm saying? We never really put it like this. Unlike the Haitians, we never really fought. We fought, but through circumstances, we gained our freedom, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the ancestors for that. I'm thankful for the creator for that, right? But anything you fight to get, you have to fight to keep. So Ron DeSantis is going to do what you want to do. It's people like this that are within our ranks that we think that are our that we're in the same struggle with, that are undermining us and trying to screw us within, trying to get us mentally docile and take a couple IQ points. So when white people come in to dominate you, you think like, no, that's just the natural order of it. I wasn't shit in Africa, and here they are right here with the kindness of their heart, want to help me. I should just stay here and just welcome with open arms, right? So he's pretty much a propaganda machine. He's a propaganda machine, man. So I'm gonna read one more. I'm gonna show you one more thing to let you know that, again, useless skills or skills that we already knew. That's it. That's pretty much it. So right here, crops of African origin or African diffusion in the Americas. So this is basically things so like cassava and all that stuff. Most of the people from the Caribbean, right, will eat things like that, yucca and all them thing there, right? So right here, crops of African origin in the Americas: okra, coffee. Coffee also comes from South America as well. Yams, miracle fruit. I'm not sure what that is. Sorghums, grains, and sweet potatoes, right? All these things. Oh, tamarind. I love tamarind. Oil palm, black-eyed peas, ackee, pigeon peas, right? All these things. So these are crops that we already knew of, right? I got to do an article about that. Some of them, the Europeans knew of these crops when they went into Africa. They didn't know what it was. That's why there's a lot of trading there. That's why they know what group of Africans to kidnap, because they know that they had these. They know how they cultivate these crops. So if they're gonna go into Ghana, and it's like, well, I know you guys know how to do cotton and okra and cassava and all this other stuff. I know you know how to grow it, right? You can't pretend like, well, you don't know how to do it. Well, you know what, sir? I was an artisan. I wasn't a farmer. Well, you're a farmer now. You're gonna pick this crop because I know your people know how to do cotton, right? Sugar. White people didn't know what sugar was. They had no idea what sugar was. Sugar comes from what? Sugar cane, right? Sugar cane. You can't say corn right now. The only reason why the United States right now uses corn because it's plentiful here, right? So that's how you get your corn syrup, which is not really a natural type of sugar, right? They extract the sweetness from corn, which you get corn syrup. But all sugar, right, is cane sugar. All natural sugar is basically cane sugar. There's other sorts, but the main source of sugar always was cane sugar from sugar cane, right? That's why sugar cane is brown, but white people to make it white, right? But but we all know white anything is not good for you. White bread is not good for you because bread is really brown. White sugar is not good for you because sugar is really brown. Vanilla, is vanilla. You ever see vanilla beans, vanilla extract is really brown. But when you eat it in ice cream or any type of flavor, it's white. But anyway, but these are all the things, the natural stuff we had. So we grew it. So we knew agriculture. We knew things about planting. But according to fake Pan-Africans and Ron Desantis, you know, saying white man came over here and gave us skills, which is the oldest trope ever. Oldest trope ever. Again, to make white people feel better about the enslavement and murder of Africans and Native Americans, right? So that's pretty much it for the most part. I mean, anybody want to come up and say anything, now would be the time. If not, I'm going to be closing out early. I really want to do this video, because there's a lot of other videos I wanted to do, but I was like, man, I really got to make time to do this one because the fallout I was seeing on it was like ridiculous. I'm like, what? I mean, it wasn't so bad, but certain people, just like totally pissed me off when the things that they were saying in the defense they were doing. But I expected, I kind of expected that. I kind of expected that. You know what I'm saying? So, you see it right here, Master, give me some skills I can utilize. Like, like I said, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. Right? When someone tells you who they are, believe them. Right? Especially people in our ranks. So what is yeah, I said that, but we didn't know a damn thing, and European low flies that came over here knew everything and taught us poor savages how to survive and build shelters. Show his inferiority to white people. Yeah, that's all that it is. I always tell you. You ever see when a white person does something racist towards a black person, and then you're like, "Hey, man, you're a racist," and the white person says, "I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist. I got a black friend. I got two black friends." Now that I'm counting, but I got two black friends. Brandon is that black friend. When you ever want to like, who are these black people that this white man is talking about? If it's true, it'd be niggas like them. It'd be niggas like. Of course, it'd be easy to be friends with the racists if you have no self-respect, integrity for yourself, right? And you believe everything they say about who you are, what you are, and where you came from, and what you're capable to do, and in this case, not capable to do without them. It'll be easy. So a person like that having a multitude of white friends is no big deal. I'm not saying all white people think like that. Obviously not. But I'm just saying when you have someone that's just obviously racist and they think that they're not racist because they're married to a black person or they have a black friend, ta-da, is that type of person. Is that type of person who we're talking about, right? So, yeah. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. So right now, it's to top it off. I'm going to show a couple extra things here. So right here, again, says Sunday new poll: Trump voters say racism against whites is bigger problem than anti-black racism, by a lot. So again, Republican coons, racist Republicans, this is the sentiment that they have. They're literally attacking Black history, Black people, and they still feel like they're the victims. And they still feel like they're the victims, right? This is not old. Look when the story came out. It came out yesterday, right? When they did a poll, right? When they did a poll. So let's see what I got here. I want to show you. I want to show you guys. Am I going to show you that now? Yeah, why not? I want to show you guys I can show you that, but nah, I don't care about that. Yeah, I don't care about that. I'm gonna show you guys my Twitter. So this is my Twitter feed right here. That's my handle right over there. So when this came out, this is what I posted. Right? It says Black Republicans, aka FBA ADOS, allowed their manufactured hate of Africans and Caribbeans, ignoring the rights the open attack on Black Americans for the past 6 months. FBA did benefit from slavery according to them. They are not Africans. They are Mazda's forgotten children. We are FBA. You know what I'm saying? Because isn't that what FBA says? FBA they say they're not African. And when they say, well, I'm not like you, they start doing environmental differences, cultural differences under white people because the only you're an African in a colonial setting where you couldn't practice your Africanness. So by you saying, hey, I'm not African, you're pretty much saying, hey, I'm a broken African under the white man. But anyway, right? So that's where I posted. That's what I posted. So again, my whole point is saying that this is like if they will go as hard. I mean, FBA, they're the bottom of the barrel of Black Americans. They're not the average Black American. They definitely are not the smartest Black American. And I think most Black, smart, intelligent Black Americans, once they see what FBA is about, they just stay away from him because they're like, nah, I'm not doing that. Right? This right here, this is what Brandon is. This right here is what this is really what so-called Pan-Africanism strikes back. Pan-Maganism. This is who he really is. He loves Donald Trump. He wants to make America great again. He loves this gun. You know what I'm saying? Anytime Black people are talking about police brutality, he's going, you niggas should have known. Right? This is who Brandon really is. Mask off. Mask off. Mask off. Mask off. This is who he is. And so what I wrote here, I've noticed that Black Republicans have gone radio silent since Trump was charged. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert fought, Clarence Thomas scandals, and more. Keep that same shut the fuck up energy around until election time, right? And what this dude says, it says, great to live in a country where I can pray and carry a gun, support our police officers at the same time, and fuck celebrating Juneteenth. Yeah, that sounds like Brandon. that's definitely him. You know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't. He's against Juneteenth. He's for all those things, right? So pretty much that's what it is. I kind of want to show you guys that. We got Tariq Nasheed right here. Yep, Mr. Pimp himself. That's his mother-in-law. Right here, FBA right here. So that's Tariq Nasheed right there. So Tariq Nasheed. Okay, master, I'm FBA now. I ain't no African. That's all us FBA and ADOS are asking for. Acceptance. So anyway, that was pretty much it. They're just having fun right now. So I hope yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. Guys, I pretty much wanted to just put that out there so you can see what my 2 cents is on it. No one wants to come up, that's cool. You want to listen, that's also cool. But if you think I was wrong or I missed anything, let me know in the comments. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. I mean, you could put or say whatever you want, doesn't matter to me. I'll read, I'll try to respond back. But besides that, that's pretty much it for now. Thank you all for listening. Until next time, peace. I say, be good to yourself and be careful out there and stay cool. It's hot. Later.